everyone. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd. We started off with some review from yesterday's math, and I created a tally table. So over here was not there, and we have our title, favorite soda. We have the soda, so the category is soda. These are the listed sodas, and then our tally. So I asked the students to vote. What is your favorite soda or soda you like the most? So everyone would raise their hands, and I went and counted, and I put tallies first. Then we needed to turn our tally table into a frequency table. Remember, frequency is with numbers. So we counted. We had 5 plus 1 is 6. 5 plus 4, 9. 5 plus 3 is 8. And I always have them on every problem, write the number next to the tally so they don't get confused, and it's easier to not make beautiful oops. Then we created a frequency table. The title stays the same, so it's favorite soda. Our category is the same, soda. What changes is it doesn't say tally right here, it says number, because now we're a frequency tables with numbers. The sodas stay the same. So we have Sprite, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew. The second difference, other than writing number, we are writing our numbers in. So we're not writing the tallies. Sprite was 6, Dr. Pepper was 9, and then Mountain Dew was 8. So we just did a review. Next, we went into our Chapter 2 math book. So get your Chapter 2 math book and turn to 66B. 66B. So they should have done the front of this page, the back. So of 66B, they should have done number 1, 2, and 3. Right now, if they want to try 4 and 5, please pause because we are going to go over those questions. All right. Okay. We always want to write cubes. We always start with U. U is underline the question. Then we go to C, circle the key numbers. B, box the math verbs. E is evaluate, so what math problem are you going to set up, or problems? And then S is solve the problems, and then label your answer. All right, so number 4. Judy has 573 baseball cards in her collection. Todd has 489 baseball cards in his collection. How many fewer cards does Todd have than Judy? We first underline the question. How many fewer cards does Todd have than Judy? Then we jump to circle the key numbers. We are looking for cards. So in the problem, I see 573 baseball cards and 489 baseball cards. So we circle those. Those are 2 key numbers. So we did this, we did this. Now box the math verb. We have fewer and than are our math verbs. If you see than or fewer, that means to subtract. Okay, so we finished our math verbs. And now we're evaluating. We're thinking about what's going on. They want to find the difference in the baseball cards that Judy has from Todd. We know our math verbs are subtracting. So we're going to subtract our 2 key numbers, 573 from 489. That's what we have right here. Looks confusing, but now we're going to solve. So I'm going to try to explain it. It was 3 subtract 9. You cannot do 3 subtract 9 because 3 is less than 9. If the number on top is less than the number on bottom, you need to borrow. This was a 7, okay? So what this student chose to do was borrow right away. They turned the 7 into just a 6. And then they gave that 1 to the 3, which made it 13. So then they did 13 subtract 9, which is 4. Then they moved the tens place. It was only a 6. Well, 6 is smaller than 8, so they needed to borrow again. So they went to the hundreds place. They turned the 5 into a 4 and gave that to the tens place. So our 6 turned into a 16. 16 subtract 8 is 8. 4 subtract 4 is 0. So there are 84 more, or Judy has 84 more baseball cards than Todd. All right, number 5. Miss Weston drove 542 miles last week and 378 miles this week on business. How many miles did she drive on business during the 2 weeks? Again, cubes. We first jump to you, underline the question. Our question is, how many miles did she drive on business during the 2 weeks? We go to circle the key numbers. Well, what are we looking for? Dogs, cats, what? We're looking for miles. So now we need to find numbers that are talking about miles. Oh, there's miles. So 542 is a key number. There's miles again. So 378 is also a key number. So we check that off. Then we jump to box the math verbs. Oh, I only see one, and. When you see and between two key numbers, so look, here's a key number, and here's another key number. If it's in between key numbers, we add. Now we're going to evaluate what is our math problem. All right, well, we have our key numbers and we know we're going to add them together. So I forgot to check that off. So we wrote our problem and then we're going to solve it. So we did solve. So 8 plus 2 is 10. You drop the 0 under the ones. You carry your tens to the tens place. So 7 plus 4 plus 1 is 12. You leave the 2 in the tens place. You carry the 1 into the hundreds place. 1 plus 5 plus 3 is 9. So 920 what? We're looking for miles. Something else I forgot to point out. About or estimate is not in these two problems. I don't see it at all. So we're not rounding. If it doesn't say about or estimate, you are not rounding. All right. Then we moved on to what we learned today. So if you turn to page 67, 6-7, and I don't want you to try this, I just want you to follow along. We are looking at picture graphs. We have done tally tables. We have done a frequency chart or frequency table. Tallies use tallies. Frequency tables, they use numbers. Picture graphs use pictures. Okay? So a picture graph uses small pictures or symbols. It could be the same thing. A picture could be a symbol to show and compare information. All right? So here's our question. Nick has a picture graph that shows how some students get to school. How many students ride the bus? So we're trying to figure out how many students ride the bus. First thing I always want you to do, this, I don't want you to get confused. It is 30. All right, our title is how we get to school. So they surveyed. Surveying is what I just did with you earlier. I asked you a question, and then I wrote down my data. Data is information. I wrote down your answer. Okay, so he surveyed students and said, well, how do you get to school? And the options were walk, bike, bus, or by car. All right, with the picture graph, the key is so important. Okay, the key tells that each number or symbol what it stands for, pretty much. So this key tells you how many students does this smiley face stand for. I don't want you to get confused with this. It's with a different problem. But one smiley face means 10 students. So if I go to walk, 1, 2, 3, it is not 3 students. That would be completely incorrect. Our key tells us that each smiley face represents 10. So you're going to skip count by 10. So 10, 20, 30. Oh, so 30 students really walk, okay? What about bike? Skip count by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40. Oh, 40. About bus? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. You could cross out because there's a lot of smiley faces. You don't want to accidentally count twice. So you could go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. 80. And you need to write it down right next to it so you don't forget just how we wrote down, we turned our tally table into a frequency. We are writing numbers next to our pictures. And then car. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That's why it says 60. Down here, it was just to help you answer the question further. We already know the answer to how many students ride the bus. We found it right here. But to find the number of students who ride the bus, count each smiley face as 10 students. And that's what our key says. A smiley face is 10 students. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And that's why I crossed it off. So there are 80 students that ride the bus. Now, if we move down to our questions, there is a lot of red. Don't worry, I will talk it out with you. Read the question first. How many fewer students walk than ride the bus? We underline our question. We need to circle our key numbers. Well, there are no numbers. Our numbers are up in our chart. But we know we are comparing walk. That's why I put like a half box. And bus. That's why I put a half box. How many students walk? Go back up, 30. So that is why I put 30 next to walk and I circled it because I'm circling my key number. That's a key number. Now bus. Oh, we know 80 students take the bus to school. So that's why I wrote 80 and I circled it. Now I did underline the question. I circled the key numbers. I need a box, my math verbs. We have fewer and than, right? So, oops, I forgot. So we boxed our math verbs. Fewer and than means subtract, So when I evaluate, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to subtract my two key numbers. 80 subtract 30 is 50. So I solved my problem. I didn't label it. There's not a lot of room, but it's 50 fewer students. Number 2, how many students were surveyed? This is so important. You will see this question a lot. What that means is how many students were asked, hey, how do you get to school? How we know that is we go back to our picture graph and we count the numbers we have. So that's why right here, I have 30 students who walk, 40 students who ride their bike, 80 students who take the bus, and 60 students who drive to school in a car. We add them together and we get 210. So that's all that is asking. Okay, our next question. What if the symbol stands for 5 students? Okay, so we're coming up here. We're pretending. All right, our symbol does not stand for 10 anymore. It stands for 5. How many symbols, so how many smiley faces will you need to show the number of students who walk to school? All right, we know 30 students walk to school because that's what we came up with. 10, 20, 30, right? Well, now that's only when the smiley faces represent 10. We're saying they represent 5 now. So let's skip count from 5 to 30. That's our endpoint. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so each one is a smiley face. So that's why I wrote the smiley faces. So how many symbols will I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 symbols. All right, page 68. If you want to try your best on page 68, please pause and go for it. All right, this is a challenging skill, but I know you can do it. All right, how many students chose an orange as their favorite fruit? That is our question, so we're talking about favorite fruit. This is our picture graph. I labeled it picture graph. We go to our key. Each smiley face is 2 students. This is very important. It is not 10 anymore. It is not 5. It is 2. So you are skip counting by 2. Again, we label it right away so we don't make any beautiful oops. So banana, skip count by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I wrote 10. Apple, 2, 4, 6. Pear, 2, 4. Orange, 2, 4, 6, 8 and a half a smiley. That's confusing. So over here it says half of a picture stands for half the value of the whole picture. So if our whole smiley face is 2 students, what's half of 2? 1. So if I have 2 sticks, I need to split it in half. Oh, it is 1. So here's 1, here's 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. That's what it's saying. So if you want to write underneath and make half a smiley and put equals 1 so you don't get confused, then you can count again. So 2, 4, 6, 8, half a smiley plus 1 is 9. That's what it's doing down here. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 plus 1, there's that 1, equals 9. So there are 9 students that chose orange. Scroll down to the bottom. We have our picture graph. I want you to always label your graphs so you know what they are. This one's a picture graph. I always want you to label your answers. So what I mean by that is look at your picture and I want you to write the number, what it stands for. Because when you answer your questions, it's going to go so quick. You're already going to have your answers written down. We're looking at number of books students read in September, October, and November. Our key says each book, so each whole picture of a book, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me, represents 2 books. We're not skip counting by 10s, not 5s, we're skip counting by 2s. So we go up here, 2, 4, 6, that's half a book. What is half of 2? We discussed half of 2 is 1. So if you want to draw half a book, so you know that half of a book is 1, so then it's 2, 4, 6, plus 1 is 7. October. And I crossed it out to make it easier. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. November. 2, 4, 6, 8. Right there. Now let's answer the questions. I'm sure it'll be really simple. What does half a book stand for? What do we say half a book stands for? 1, right? 1 book. How many books did the students read in September? Oh, go to September. We said 7. 7 books. We have a bigger question. We need to use our cubes. How many more books did the students read in October than in November? The whole thing is our question. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. We need to circle our key numbers. We are looking for October and November. So you need to write. So how many books were read in October? 12. So you circle, write it and circle it. What about November? 8. So you write it and circle it. Then we go to box the math verbs. We have one math verb is than. Than means to subtract. So when we set up our problem, we're going to evaluate. Our problem will be 12 subtract 8. Then we need to solve it. 12 subtract 8 is 4, and then we need to label it. 4 more books. So then we solved it and labeled our answer. On the next page, if you want to try, so on page 69, if you want to label your picture graph, so write the numbers that the pictures stand for, and do number 4, number 5, and number 7. 4, 5, and 7. Pause now. All right, we're going to start with always our picture graph first. So label your picture graph. We're talking about favorite games. You need to, the favorite games, our categories are puzzles, card games, and board games. When you look at your key, each picture, so each game piece, is 4 students. So you are skip counting by 4. Oh, I see a half of a picture. So what is half of 4? We have 4 sticks. What is half? So if you cut it in half, you'll have 2 and 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So half of 4. Woo, half of 4 is 2. So that's why I kind of drew half a game piece and I wrote 2. All right, so let's label it puzzles counting by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Card games. 4, 8, 12. Okay, so that's why I wrote 12. And half of a game piece is 2. So I put plus 2 equals 14. Board games. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Now we get to answer questions, which should come easily. How many students chose puzzles? All right, let's look. Oh, we know 20 students chose puzzles. Now we'll use our cubes. How many fewer students chose card games than board games? We don't need to underline our question because the whole question is the question. So we need to circle our key numbers. We are looking for card games and board games. So we go to card games, we have 14. That's why I wrote 14 and circled it. Our board games, we have 24. Board games 24 and circled it. Then we need a box, our math verb. We have fewer and than. Fewer and than is subtraction. Subtraction. Okay, so we are going to subtract. We're going to do 24 subtract 14, which is 10. So we solved it, and then 10 what? 10 students chose card games over board games. Okay. Then number 7. Remember we discussed surveyed. So how many students were surveyed? It's just asking how many students total gave their answer, gave their opinion about their favorite board game. So we just add them together. 20 plus 14 plus 24 equals 58. So 58 students were surveyed. Now for your homework. Flip the page. So page 70A, do it all. 70B, do it all. I want you to label, again, write picture graph. Pay attention to the key. Pay attention to what the half star will mean. And I want you to write the numbers on the side. This is a category. This is saying 100%, 95%, 90%, and 85% on a math test. But these stars still represent how many students scored 100%. How many students scored 95, right? You're going to write that on the side. Then we had walk to learn. I read a few more pages of the Yoon story, so I will put in the YouTube read aloud. So listen to a couple more pages, and then you need to read for 30 minutes, and you need to work on your science. And then you are done for homework. All right, thank you. Bye.